Okay, let's talk about 6, 7 ways your bank is lying to you. 6, 7 things your bank won't tell you about. Okay, who am I? I'm the CEO of MoneySave. MoneySave and Uruka. Uruka is a smart payment ring. So what happens again? You can just tap to make your payment. So we work with about 400 banks at the moment and counting. And we work with most credit card providers. You just top up on the ring and you go. So this connects to your bank, connects to your credit card, and you don't need your wallet or phones around. So if you go for a run, if you go to a concert, if you go to a restaurant, if you just hang out anywhere at all, you just tap to pay. Again, I've worked in banking all my life. Oh, on the other side, we have the business customers. So these huge ones, it's actually for businesses. So if you have a POS terminal, if you're a business user, you don't need a box anymore. You can just tap with your ring. So tap with your customer's phone and get your money in. No need for wallets. You don't need to charge these things, right? So there's no need for charges. And then you just tap to pay wherever you are or tap to receive. Okay. So we're a fintech bank. That means we work with a fintech app. That means we work with all banks. Okay. We don't care about banks. We care about customers. This, then I'll say you go with your bank. Oh wait, if your bank CEO can talk to you like this as well, bank CEO talking to you like this, there's a problem. That means they care about other things because they are always in meetings. If you go to a CEO and talk to a bank, a CEO of bank, you're going to see 60 to 70% of their time is spent on meetings. With who? With customers. Then that's a cool bank. So let's talk about 7 other things, 6 or 7 other things the banks are not telling you about, right? I'll start with 7 down. Number one, banks make a lot of money from you, a lot more than they give to you. Okay, so here's the point: if you put a deposit, say 1,000, okay, in your account, you get, if you're lucky, you get 0.5%. Sometimes if you lock the money in, you get up to 1% or 1.5% return on that cash you've locked in, or the money you just leave sitting in the account. Okay, which again, in terms of being a bank, that's solid because you're happy that your money will be there. Okay, if the bank fails, which they all do, okay, a lot of banks have failed in the years, okay, and they have to be bailed out. They can be bailed out from the government. So that means that money is somehow saved, which is cool. That's what you want to do. But here's the problem. The bank takes the money and lends it out. When they lend it out, they make a lot more money than that. So they've given you, if you're lucky, they give you 1%. They've given you 1%, but they take the money and they issue a loan out. When they issue a loan out, that person pays them at least 7%. Okay, if it's worse, they pay up to 8 or 9% on the loan. That 7% or 8% in the middle is their money. And it's better as well because with fractional reserve banking, the money you put in is a deposit, okay? But in truth, they can lend up to 9, 10 times of that money that you've put in. So that just gives them even more money on the other side that they can borrow out. So they make a lot more money than they give you. That's one thing to note. And let's not forget your mortgage as well. So a bank will give out a mortgage, they give a mortgage of 2.5%. And the average person these days, okay, and I feel sorry for all of us these days, a lot of us. And the average person now pays 2.5% on their mortgage for 25 years, 30 years mortgage. That's 30 years that you're paying the bank 2.5% on 300,000 that they're only paying 0.5 the customer. You see the problem there. So they make a lot of money on those margins, and that's why they can afford huge buildings that you see there because the money is just so much coming in. That's coming in and against what they are taking out. So that's one. Second point then obviously is invisible fees. Okay, so a lot of people I talk to, especially, I mean, us fintech banks, we're suffering, right? So the fintechs, we have, we need to go, we need to charge customers. Remember talking to a customer once and it goes, wait a minute, why do I have to pay for this ring? My bank is free. It's like, no, the bank's not free. Okay, just so you know. So that's the point. So for us, the charges are upfront. You see the charge, you order your ring, and this is it. You pay for that ring. Okay, done. No more. Okay. Some fintechs will ask you to pay £5 per month, especially if they give you a card. Yeah. So if they give you a card for free, yeah, then what happens? They say pay £5 a month. That's a charge, but you can see the charge up front. Okay. For our rings, we actually pay to make these rings. We pay these are MasterCard chips in here. So I just open this up and you see it. So this is the MasterCard chip in there, and that's why you can actually make a payment everywhere you are across 150 countries at the moment with these rings. For us to do that, we actually pay money to MasterCard. Okay. And then so we don't fail, we actually charge the customer the cost of manufacturing the ring, putting the MasterCard in it, and then linking it up to your bank wherever you are. So that's cool. And that's a charge that we get passed on to our customers because just to make sure. So generally, it's okay. You just come in, you're not paying anything, right? In truth, you are. Because what happens then is the invisible fees. So you got your overdraft fees. So mistakenly, not mistakenly, about 60% of us just go overdraft once a year. Okay, that once a year, you charge 0.5% immediately. So that the cost of that 1 year, 1 day in a year that you went overdraft by mistake is more than you pay to a fintech bank for the course of a year. Okay, which is a lot, believe it or not. So banks, I can tell you, last year they took 11.5 billion in incidental fees. Incidents, like just mistakes that we did. And we all do these things, okay? You mistakenly just go overdraft or direct debit bounces, you get charged $8 immediately, okay? And that happens 2 or 3 times a year. They've made their money back. Yeah, so invisible fees are huge. Okay, let's not forget the FX as well. You mistakenly go outside and then you withdraw money from your bank. As soon as you withdraw money, you get charged up to 3% of what you just withdraw in another country. Oh, wait, and they know as well. So when you walk into a bank, again, I've worked in banking all my life, you go in and based on your profile, we know what you most likely spend. So for instance, we know if you're a young professional, you're going to travel at least once a year. So you build in an FX charge in there. Oh, wait, you're single, that means you're going to get married in future. So that means your partner, you and your partners are going to come in with money. Happy with that. But wait a minute, then you sure your mortgage is going to come in. Your mortgage, the best deal you would ever get would be about 2%, 3%, sometimes up to 4% for subprime. So people who can't afford to pay. That's a lot of money. So all the fees that they get from you almost dwarfs anything that a fintech will get. And that's why fintechs have no offices because they just can't afford to, right? But your bank gets so much money that they can do that and they will never tell you that. Let's go into inflation as well. So I talked about putting 1,000 into your account, right? If you put 1,000 into your account, you get, maybe 1%. I'll make it cheap on you, right? So you get 1%, which is very cool. Hey, there you go. That's 1% of 1,000. If you leave that money for a year, inflation actually is 4% at the moment. Okay, real inflation. Forget what people are saying in the news. Real inflation is about 4%, no matter where you are. If you're in the worst country, developing country, it goes up to 10%, which is worse. But the downside of inflation is that the 1,000 that you put in January, by December is what 4% less minimum. In the US is a strong economy, that's 4%. Switzerland is another strong economy, Sweden, the Nordics, all those guys, the inflation is at 3%. So that means if you put 1,000 in there, by December is what 3% less. Cash, like this is just cash you just put in there. You put 1,000, at 1,000, say you could buy an iPhone in January. By December, you can't buy that iPhone anymore. You need to put an extra $100 to buy that iPhone because it's gone down. That's crazy. That's the power of inflation. So the amount of money you're paying is just a lot for the same thing that you'd have gotten. Now, the downside of that because you're the one suffering that. So the bank would only give you 1%. So if you put 1,000 in there, they say, there you go. In December, say you've got 1% interest. But that's nothing because you've just lost at 4%, you've lost 3%. So 3% of your money has gone down the drain. Yeah, and that's a lot of people get agitated about investment and they want to go out and do investment because your investment, you get a lot more money for the money, right? You get about 4%, 5%, if you get a bond. If you get an equity, you get even more. If you go into crypto, you get even more, which is, again, these are risky investments. But rather than leaving the money sitting there, a lot of people go for investments. Again, we don't give financial advice here. We're neutral. So probably actually allow you to spend your money, okay, a lot more. But if you want to leave your money in a bank, I think that's not the wise thing to do. Okay, it's quite clear from here. Unless for some reason you just want to protect that capital. Okay, so if you've got $100 or 100,000, make sure the 100,000 is safe. Then you put the money in the bank, okay, on your deposit on the safe, and that's capital protected. But capital protected means that you're losing out on other things. You're losing on inflation as well. Your capital protection has to be inflation. But without giving a lot into that, I think I'll just give you advice there. It's not safe and you're losing money when you leave money in the bank because of inflation. And there's the other thing as well, which is credit score. So a bank will tell you this, right? That down, it's not, again, it's not your fault and it's not the bank's fault, but we all rely on debt. The whole country, the whole world is based on debt. Which is not good, okay? But right, then who the hell are you not to borrow? That, so if you go and you borrow 10,000 on your credit card. If you pay back that 10,000 on your credit card immediately, your credit score goes down, right? That's the truth. Like I'm saying this from me working in banking for 20 years, state guy. I'm not a guru. I'm not one of those guys who work in the bank for a year or two. Just saying in terms of across the board, okay? Pick any country. Your credit, the more debt you collect and pay back, okay? It's not about debt. So if you keep amounting or taking on debt, your credit score goes down. If you pay back your debt immediately, your credit score goes down. So you don't want to take a lot of debt, as a lot of, I think it was Rich Dad Poor Dad or whatever. He was like, hey, please borrow, I'm on debt, okay? And he's now bankrupt. Don't do it. And the other guys are like, oh, please just don't spend any money at all, don't borrow money at all. You want to be in between. In between becomes that you're actually much more trusted. People can go in and actually lend you money because you're going to pay back. It's a good thing, and I don't support it because it's a double-edged sword. Okay, at any point you could fall into debt, or at any point you could repay back too soon. And credit card, guess what? The bank is going to reduce your credit limit because that credit, they don't have to put that money aside for you. Okay, and that's what people don't realize. When your bank gives you a 10,000 limit card, they have to put that money aside for you, right? And that means you can't borrow it to people. That's why a bank actively looks at credit card, look and sees that you're actively using it. If you're using it, then your credit thing that you're using and you're paying back. If you're not using it, then it goes down. If you're borrowing too much as well, then it has a negative effect. So it's a tricky line. Okay? It's unfortunate, on how the world is built. And it's something I think we're pushing a little bit on the Bitcoin crypto side because, again, there's a lot of debt, or risk or fraud in there. I'd like to see a world where we're not borrowing as much, where the government is not borrowing as much, where we are not borrowing as much. Because again, governments can't default, right? Because the government, we default and no one bails us out. So be careful there as well. That. And the other point then is, I think we've talked about this as well. We talked about free. People believe that that the banks, they are not free, and even if they are free, so I say that because there are some fintech. Okay, so you'd go in and see a bank that fintech that tells you, oh, debit card for free. Okay, then you can put in your budgeting ideas. So a lot of budgeting apps out there actually do this. Putting your budgeting up here, putting how much you spend every day, and then free. No, if you take nothing, know that nothing is free. If anything's free, then the company will go be in trouble anyway. So always ask, hey, what's the price here? Okay, then know that your data is the price. So most budgeting apps, you rely on your data. Use your data and sell your data to that advertiser. So if budgeting app you're using out there is free, any fintech app they're using out there that's free, apps because they're selling data. And they have to. Don't blame them, blame yourself for falling into that. Okay, so be careful with that. And that's something to watch out to tell you. If they give you a free budgeting app and say, hey, this budget, use it, it's on us, don't trust it. Okay. What you mentioned about is comparing, all right? So the bank will not tell you, compare bank services and check us out and see what's better. It's in your interest to compare. Always compare your bank, thing that you get, always compare your price, always compare the functionality. If you're marrying and they just give you a card and your card gets stolen, phone gets stolen and they do nothing, look into alternatives. We're not, I think, I don't know if We have few competitors in every country. So in the UK, I think there are a few rings. Order that, okay? Payments are the future. A lot of people use, I think my ring, a lot of people think that they're Aura rings, not, because they do a lot. We actually look after your money. We have health rings as well. Just check all our rings. If your bank is not giving you, in this case, giving you a ring, then go online, order a ring to work with our ring provider. We work with about 200, if not 400 banks. Continue to add more banks. If your bank for some reason says, oh, we're not going to leave the bank, like you have nothing. Yeah, that. But the truth is, you've got nothing to gain from staying forever. They don't pay you loyalties. They might give you discounts, but they're better off going to search and get a better form of discount from other banks. Search for banks, get good value for your money, and get good features. Like, banks used to be community banks, so that's something to watch out for. Then lastly, then is I think 6-7 is going to go 6-7. Okay, it's number of banks, number of customers. Okay, and this is a fund towards that. So we have a lot of customers. It's true. I see a lot of people and customers being happy when there are a lot of customers. That's not good for you. It's good for the bank. Sales out there and goes, or a fintech app says, hey, we have 10 million customers. I know that's tricky. It's hard to think about. We want to go to where most people are. Okay, we're social humans. If you see that building, you're going to go check it out and say, okay, who's in that building? What's out there? Run into the lake. You'll be like, okay, what's out there in that lake? I'm giving free stuff out. I'm going to go. But it does all that in banking. In banking in place, then you're going to get poor service. It's not like a restaurant up there. You're going to go in there and say, I'm going to check out food if it's good or not. Customers, a lot. I mean, the bank accommodate, I'd say one-to-one customers. One client representative can address maximum 1,000. If the bank has 10 million customers, they need the whole country to accommodate to those people. That means you're stuck in a queue. You're stuck with AI chatbots. You're stuck with just a lot. Like, the bank can't give you the service. Leave them. There are a lot of fintech apps out there. There are a lot of ring providers. There are a lot of community and go in and talk to people. There are a lot of apps where the CEOs will talk to you. I have to say, there are a lot of CEOs that you can just search and you see the CEO and it's your app. They'll tell you about the features that they have their apps, what's coming. But others, you can't see them because they've got 10 million customers to deal with. Talk to investors. They're trying to raise more money to make sure they attend to. That's not good on you because you're a number of shit at that point. That one. Okay, so when you see headlines that go, hey, 10 million customers, run away from that bank and go to a small bank. Just search fintech. Okay, just search any fintech, any payment ring provider at all, banking app. Just go to them and get the service that you deserve. Money, it's not their money. I've said already from here, 6-7 reasons to make a lot more money on you than